Jennifer Teskey will provide a member spotlight.
So I'm going to stick with my 5-minute time frame. So once this goes off, I am done. So I'm going to try to go through this. If you want to bring it up, this was kind of fun to put together. I don't often get to talk about myself because I usually talk about United Way. So if we can bring the PowerPoint. Okay, so this is me. This is me. Jennifer Teskey, CMP, CFRE, Vice President of Resource Development at United Way of Olmsted County. We'll switch. Not only am I that, I am a mom, a wife, and a nonprofit professional. Flip my slides. Okay. I'm also a daughter and a sister. Whoa. No, it's not. It's not. I don't know what happened there. And then these are just fun pictures of me growing up on a farm in Iowa. I was your quintessential do everything girl, cheerleader. There's washing hogs for the fair, my high school graduation picture, and all of that good stuff. So let me switch another. No? Okay. Education. So I'm from Hampton, Iowa, Hampton-Dumont High School. It's about now 2 hours away from here in Iowa, just south. Graduated from University of Northern Iowa in Cedar Falls, Iowa. My major was in leisure services. So pretty much what I learned how to do was anything in your leisure time, I learned how to program for. And that prepared me to eventually run a nonprofit. And that's where you see me at United Way. I'm an American Humanics alumna, which is basically programming that prepares you to eventually run a nonprofit, everything from volunteer development to fundraising to facility development and community needs assessments. So kind of had a leg up when I got into the nonprofit, and I'm actually doing what I thought that I would in college. So I was also an AMI leader, which means that I put on a national conference for college students. It was in New Orleans. So we had lots of fun, but we learned a lot too. I was one of 5 that was selected to put on that conference. I'm also an Alpha Delta Pi. So that is part of my college experience. And then I went on to St. Mary's University in Winona, and I got my master's in philanthropy and development. So we want to switch slides. My thing didn't start. I'm sorry. Okay, switch. I'll try to go fast through this. They can't hear me? Oh no. Well, okay. So my professional credentials, you might not realize this, kind of. So I am a certified fundraising executive, which means that I have basically gone through a whole rigor of education and testing and have that. And I'm also part of Association of Fundraising Professionals, which I've been on the board. I am in charge of scholarships. We're actually going to Vegas this weekend with about another 10 nonprofit professionals to the AFP conference. And we are funding $17,000 for those nonprofits to learn best practice. Conflict of interest. Conflict of interest. Just want to say that. You can switch the slide. Another one. So work history. You kind of probably have gathered that I've worked pretty much every other nonprofit that was up there. So went from YMCA to Boy Scouts to I was an Edward Jones representative at one point in time. Boys and Girls Club here in Rochester. If you know anything about strengths-based leadership, my peahen is up there, which was the symbol of my strengths. So of course you probably know that I'm a woo. most of all, communication is a strength, activator, empathy, and developer. So if you know anything about strengths, those are my top 5 strengths. And the next one would be, okay, fun facts. I was Franklin County Pork Ambassador in high school. I broke my leg when a boy fell on me in 4th grade. He was a very heavy boy. I placed 9th at national gymnastics competition, and that's why my daughter loves gymnastics too. I met my husband in the neighborhood. He lived 2 doors down. My son was born with bilateral club feet. Thank God for medicine. I enjoy dancing, horseback riding, and spending time watching my kids compete in gymnastics, basketball, baseball, and flag football. My favorite foods are steak, pepperoni, pizza with green olives, thin crust, anything with pickles, and breaded mushrooms. So those are some fun facts, and I think there might be one more. Okay, I think it has to do with our special event that's happening United Way. This is my favorite quote. 2 roads diverge in a wood. I took the one less traveled by, and that made all the difference. So I have done that. And this is our big event that's happening June 14th. This is going to be phenomenal. It's going to be like no other fundraiser you've ever seen or been a part of. We actually aren't doing a whole lot of fundraising at the event. We're going to be doing engaging conversations about race in our community and how we can be vulnerable and share our experiences. So I encourage you to fill out a race card, search Race Card Project. My race card is, and this will be shocking probably, white farm girl who knows little about race. It's pretty out. So I see people shaking their heads, and the reason behind that is I grew up in a community where we didn't have diversity. I was only exposed to diversity in college when I worked for the Boys and Girls Club in Waterloo, Iowa. If anybody knows Waterloo, Iowa, I was the minority. I was one female white staff person, and I learned really, really quick that my life experiences were way different than the kids that I was serving. One thing that I remember is that when I was there, I thought that I should discipline a child and said, this child is disobeying me, acting out, they need to go home. I learned very quickly that home life was not where they should be. And I didn't realize that until the program director sat me aside and said, Jennifer, this is the best place for them to be. Home is not a good place for them to be. And so that was really my exposure to race and experience that shaped my life and my trajectory. And that's why I do what I do. So thank you. Good job.
Thank you, Jennifer. Marilyn Delling has a Cradle to Career announcement.
Okay, so I am your new ambassador or liaison between TRCR and Cradle to Career. So it's a newly invented role for all of the Rotary clubs in Rochester. And so as such, I have some announcements for you from Cradle to Career. So the first is that they just recently announced that they are doing a spring convening. Now, when I first read that, I thought, an in-person event. But no, this is an online event, and it's a 4-week-long information overhaul that will bring you face-to-face with the work that Cradle to Career does. The convening will conclude with a small chat with the soon-to-be announced, actually now has been announced, new executive director of Cradle to Career. And so they ask you to join them as they take their next step to continue their work for the future of the children in our community. So in the moccasin flower, just the one that came out on Tuesday, there is a link to the website that will give you this information. In addition, if you scroll down, if you just go to their main website, which is c2cmn.com, so c2cmn.com, and scroll down to our Data Bytes blog, It's at the bottom of the page, Our Data Bytes blog. There is also a link to their first newsletter. So they're going to now be doing a quarterly newsletter, and their first newsletter is there. You'll find it there. And at the end of that community newsletter, they give their announcement about who their new director is. And she is going to start in June. Her name is Julie Ruzak. Maybe some of you know Julie. Julie's currently the coordinator of family and community engagement and the Title I program with the Rochester Public School District. She has worked at the school district level on a variety of projects and initiatives. More specifically, she has facilitated the implementation of the community schools model at 3 current Rochester Public School sites. And I've had the pleasure of working with Julie in the past when I worked at public health, and she is a go-getter, positive, loves kids. She is going to be a really great person in this position. So we look forward to her speaking with us in the future. And so if you can go out now and look at the information on their website, you'll get more information there. So more to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Marilyn. Rotation Day was really successful at our local restaurants, and we're going to keep that format through the June rotation. So you'll have a chance to select the restaurant that works best in your schedule, and so you'll stay tuned for more details coming in June. The sign up for tree planting is available, and that's we're tree planting on Monday at just this coming Monday, May 2nd at 4 p.m. until all the trees are planted. We're estimating that we'll finish by about 5:30. So at Quarry Hill, and the rain backup date is Wednesday, May 4th. I want to give a huge shout out to Lori Ludke, who's been creating the moccasin flower for us to keep us all informed of our activities at our club, district, and Rotary International. We'll be Amber will start doing the newsletter in May. We are looking for somebody who's willing to be trained to be a backup to Amber. So if you're interested, please contact Amber. The Rotary Community Foundation will make an announcement about the Community Impact Grant on Thursday, May 12th. So again, more information coming. In accordance with our bylaws, I would like to announce the intended membership of Karen Lemke from the Rochester Public Library and Paul Apenhorst from Krause Anderson into the Rotary Club of Rochester. If you have any questions, or please contact me within 7 days. Next week is our first Thursday committee day. We will be meeting here at the Even Hotel. Are there any other announcements before we introduce our speaker? Looking online. Okay. All right. President Jeffrey Boyd has been the president of Rochester Community and Technical College since July 1st, 2018, and has a reputation as a leader with a vision for the future of higher education and a champion for the mission of community and technical colleges. A first-generation community college graduate, he previously served Tidewater Community College in Virginia from 2014 to 2018 as the provost, chief operating officer, and lead academic and student affairs administrator of its campus in Norfolk, and Elgin Community College in Illinois from 2006 to 2014 in several capacities, including Associate Dean, Interim Dean, and Dean of Business and Career Technologies. And he served the Quad County Urban League as Director of Education and Employment in 2005. And he's held roles in student services for Olivet, Nazarene University, and Wabansie Community College. Did I come close? Did I? Oh my God. Okay. That was a total guess. Okay. President Boyd holds an associate degree from San Joaquin Delta College in California, a bachelor's degree from Judson University in Illinois, a master's from the University of Phoenix in Arizona, and a doctorate in community college leadership from National Louis University in Illinois. Jeffrey.
Now I'll see if I can pull this off, because what you've shown me is with this Zoom, is our faculty have said we've tried to hold classes with students in front of us and on Zoom, and they've said how difficult it is. And I was like, how can that be that difficult? I mean, and now you're showing me. Do I need to put this on as well? Okay. Okay. So I do see how this all works now. So anyway, thanks for having me today. Really glad to be here to give you a little update. And thank you, Audrey, for letting them know kind of where I've been and who I am. But again, I am just a believer in community college. As you said, I'm a first generation community college graduate. And I like to always plug that, I've got 4 sons, all master's degrees, educated, and all but one started at a community college. So I just think that, and one of my sons, very proud to say, has got his first book published. He's moved to New York now. He's with Simon and Schuster, a book going to come out called The Wait. And I guess there's parts in there about me that I don't know about yet. So I think they said that I don't know if it's the time that I'm a guy that, like many dads and others that drive across country. I have a time frame that we're on. So since we had 5 sons that they had to pee, we had cups and cans and coffee cups. So I have a feeling somewhere in that book that I'm going to be a terrible dad that didn't let your kids use the restroom on a cross country trip. And it's all true. I take ownership of that quite pridefully in a way. But so again, I think we're on. If you go the next slide, please. The past 2 years have been obviously very challenging for all of us. Everybody in the community has had a tough time with the last 2 years. And so you think about it, we start out with as anybody in higher ed or anything, we had a plan A, and then all of a sudden you had to shift to plan B, and then you had to shift to plan C. But like I always tell the staff, I don't know if you're a sports fan, but I think the best teams are able to make halftime adjustments because, what your game plan, as many of you know, doesn't always work out. So we were very good at making those plans, making adjustments, but we had 3 things in mind: health and safety of all, helping students complete their goals, get across the stage, and providing essential services. We never wavered from that. Next slide, please. I'll slow down a little bit. And the next slide is going to come eventually. Online instruction. Our faculty migrated online. Our staff had to learn new ways of working in a way. Our campus always remained open. And guess what we discovered like everyone else? ZOOM, Zoom, with all its challenges. And I'm learning all these acronyms, BRB. I thought it was a bed and breakfast. I guess that's be right back, So we all had to learn all these things. And how do you teach? Again, the challenge of you have people in front of you, because we had things that you call hybrid class where all the students can stay home. They could do it in front. The faculty said it doesn't work as easy as you're saying. So I think we're learning that why. Now, next slide, please. And now we're back, even with the ability to see smiling faces in the hallways, which is just great, because I think that's really what we're all about. It's all about relationships. And yes, there's such things as online relationships, online dating. I don't know. It's tough for me, but these things do happen. But it's good to see people back. And you think about it. So now what we've done, if you can get to the next slide, we've returned to a good mix of learning opportunities now. So even with COVID in the always around the corner, we're at about 45% of our class are going to be fully in person. 32% will be fully online, and then we have a mix of about 23% hybrid. So much as we're trying to experience here, I believe in in-person learning, but again, things are changing. Again, I got my master's degree online, but that's because I was a working adult. I had no choice but to do that online. But I do believe, next slide, the most important place is what happens in the classroom. I don't think you can take that away. I didn't add this slide, but when I was a young 18-year-old and first time in college, only thing I knew about college was I had 2 cousins at family functions that they were smarter, they talked, they were more articulate than my other cousins. They dressed better than my other cousins. This is a 13, 14-year-old that's observing, and they had better looking girlfriends. So for me, I knew college was for me, because if I can dress that way and I can talk that way and I can have good looking girlfriends, I was all in. But that was kind of what happened. And then also in the classroom, you're challenged. My psychology instructor challenged us one day real quick. He said, anybody that could prove that human beings have instincts, you get an A for the class, you never have to come back. So back in those days, me and a classmate went to the library, pulling all the index cards, trying to prove that human beings had instincts. Guess what? We couldn't prove it. I got a C in that class. But that class sparked in me what I call the spirit of intellectual curiosity. That made me realize, boy, this learning and exploring stuff is really neat. I think I want to do that. And then the other side was 15-year-old job with the park district. We're out digging ditches. So they said, okay, dig this trench. All my friends were making 15, 16 bucks an hour. I lasted an hour because you can see these hands. I tell my wife, my hands are still soft, aren't they, honey? Right? Because I couldn't, that wasn't my kind of work. I'm not going to do that. And I went home. My dad said, well, boy, if you're not going to be good at using your hands, well, then you better use your brain. And I said, I'm in. I'm going to use my brain for my career. And so why I believe online, what you learn with someone in the classroom, with that faculty member, Dr. Dave Murphy, I still accredit him with kind of set me on the right track. And that's where I met my wife in college history class, right? She was checking me out, right? Across, anyway, that's not quite the story, but I'm going to stick with it. But I just think, and as we got back to once we took the mask mandate off, and I saw, students talking and smiling together, I just literally smiled. I was just so happy to get everyone back because I do believe that, again, classroom, the environment, the relationships at a college and in many places are very important. Next slide, if you will. We also, in the time that I've been here, we've established kind of academic pathways. The old days, you come in, you explore, maybe you'll take art, maybe you'll take history, but we knew students were wasting time and money on exploration. So when you get to a pathway, you think like myself. When I went, my counselor asked me, what do you want to do? I think I want to major in criminal justice. Well, do you think you'll ever want to transfer? I said, yes, I'd like to get a bachelor's degree. I got on that track, stuck with it, got my associates in criminal justice, associate in art, 9-year police career. But then when I got done being a police officer, I was able to transition into a bachelor's career, which again, all those things at 34 a bachelor's, at 45 a master's, and 49 a doctorate. I'm a lifelong learner. What I'm going to do next, I'm going to write books, try to catch my son, because he kind of beat me, and we'll see what happens there. But get people on a pathway, help them explore what they want to do, and get general eds are all the same, but the other pathways, whether maybe you start out with nursing, but then maybe you end up in radiography, but your general eds and stuff are all the same. So you're able to transition quicker into those degrees. So you see the pathways, 9 of them. I won't go through them all. But again, it's all to get people on a path. And I say it's pathways is just like it sounds. You start, I had to come here, the pathway, the guy at the front desk, I'm looking for Rotary. Got on here, take a left, then a right, even though he did say right and left, but I figured it out. But we want to get students on the path, keep them on the path with support service, wraparound services, instructed, complete in a timely way. Now we're talking more stackable credentials, trying to get people quicker through. The workforce is asking for it. So this is kind of what a guided pathway is. And again, with the P-TECH model that we have locally here, we're getting them in, early as high school. PSEO, you start early, stay on the path. We know there's a job or career at the end of that. And right now we have it in the practical nursing and computer science pathway with IBM, RPS, and ourselves in that partnership. Thanks to Senator Carl Nelson. Let me throw a plug out there for that, for getting us the funding. So we want to get students start and all the way through to graduation. Next slide, you're already there. Great. The enrollment trends, unfortunately, as everyone across higher ed, we've seen the enrollment dip down from 2010 of being a height. Now we're at about 6,600 students. And the tough part about in higher ed, like many other things, we project our budget. So you think we set a budget, think we're going to get X amount of students. And if you have less, then we have to readjust the budget. So this time of year, waiting for the legislator to tell us what we're going to get is, in higher ed is just no fun because it's all projections. It's all like a guessing game. And so then you got to move like playing the shell game, you got to move your shells around. And again, people are important. Students, we hope the value is out there. And I think that's what I always say about community college. I just think that we're the greatest game in town, not only for families, for individuals. Again, as a dad I was in school myself, and I had 3 sons in school at the same time. So August was my most depressing month because I would tell my wife, why do I even work? Because as soon as you got to write those checks for, and you want your kids to go to school and myself. And so I tell you, but at the same time, I look at my boys now, I'm very proud, and I say that I have BMWs, black men working, right? So I'm all my boys, that's our joke. We always say, I got 5 BMWs, they're all working. And my youngest son, we are still working on him, although he's going to be 26. He's a social media, he gets paid to do people's social media things that promote he's got all this stuff he gets paid. And it's like, But son, is that going to be long term? You need to get, as all his brothers are educated, and I don't know if that's he just doesn't quite see it yet, but we're going to get him there somehow, some way. I told him I think he needs to be a fireman. Firemen only work 9 days a month, 80 some thousand a year, 9 days a month. I think I'm going to retire and be a fireman. I don't know if I can do all the stuff, but we're going to get him there. But anyway, as you can see, I don't even know where I got that from, but I had to throw it in there anyway. Next slide, please. So these past few years, we've tried to upgrade our obviously our Welcome and One Stop. We've enhanced learning spaces, upgraded classrooms, and again, just trying to build the overall learning experience. We've used some of those federal relief funds for Wi-Fi because people need to get online everywhere. So the parking lots, we've increased it there. Every field house, we try to use, and then we've also our Welcome and One Stop. So when a student comes in, you can get whether you need financial aid, register for classes. You should be able to go to one place and get that, and then we provide the services around there. And our bookstore, which I think is that my next slide. We're even moving the bookstore as well. So we are going to have the new bookstore on the first floor, kind of right by the Welcome and One Stop. It was formerly the Welcome and One Stop. Now we're going to make it a new bookstore where you can then do pickups, all more of a retail center as well. So when people come in the building, in the main building, they'll have all the services right there. Bookstore, Welcome and One Stop, everything you need. And we're going to try to move the student life to that area as well. You see our letters. If you want to come by and tag us, we have these new letters will be out soon. It's very nice because you see people coming up, and it's just good to see them proud to be where they are. And families, we're just doing selfies, and there's a selfie king back there, right? Everyone's just taking selfies, and so it's very, very good to do that. And I just want to, again, if you get a chance, come by. We have a lot of good things going on campus. Come by and take a look. Be happy to host you there. Just talk a little bit about our demographics and what our students look like. As you can see those numbers, we serve, again, like I said, about 6,500 students a year, 65% female, slightly up pre-pandemic. And it's kind of a national trend, which is really strange that I know you said people are working, but it just seems like to me, for myself, I always saw education as a way to better support my family. So I always felt like if I've never, with every degree, I've never taken a pay cut. So I saw it again, because I can't do manual labor. I knew I had to do something using my brain because I'm just not, I can do, my wife says I'm good at projects because I like them done quick though. I don't want to sit there and hurt my back and all that. So if you came to my house right now, my wife is repainting our trim, and I just buy the paint and I buy her the tools she needs to get it done. I know that sounds wimpy, but it's true. 31% of our students are students of color. And that, again, we've seen a little bit of an uptick in that. We've seen, again, during the pandemic, which we noticed why we didn't close our doors, was that the students that were coming to campus were the students of color. And a lot of those, again, our Somali population, you don't realize a lot of those folks don't have internet at home. So they come when we had to keep our doors open because that's the way people came and they stay connected and they learned. And so we were very much to say, we're going to stay open. And we did. We stayed open and people were able to come. And so the national trend is that students of color are down. We've seen students of color tick up a little bit. So we're pleased to see that happen. And we just want to provide them the resource they need to be successful. Real quick, strategic plan. We launched our strategic plan. Again, we had to do a lot of adjustments. Some of these things we started to do with the pandemic kind of got put on the back burner, but student success is our pillar. Institutional sustainability, that we have to have the right mix of offerings. Diversity, equity, inclusion is big, trying to, again, provide that. As you know, these last couple of years with the murder of George Floyd and all the things happened in Minnesota, that's had to be important. And again, as you were sharing, that Jenny was sharing, is that right? Did I get your name right? Yeah, as you were sharing, I always say about when it comes to diversity and other people, the best thing you can do is have a meal with someone that you don't normally have a meal with. And that's a speaker came, and she's from the Laos community, and talked about the people at your dinner table, that's your love language. Meaning that if you eat with the same people every night, most of the days in your life, that's the people you love. And again, it helped us look, because I thought back, growing up in Batavia, yes, a mixed town in a sense. And I thought about how we were very mixed in our community, but when it came to dinner time, everybody pretty much went home. No, very few. I thought about the families. The first time I had lunch at one of my friends, white friend, I had lunch at his house. I still remember the meal: tomato soup, crackers, and grilled cheese, right? And I just was sitting there thinking about PJ White and his mother invited me over, and I thought about that. That was like the first time, and I think I was in seventh grade then. But PJ and I are still great friends today. We played basketball together, and one of the people, our basketball team, we just you got to connect, and that's why I say when we think about it, think about how many times have you stepped out to entertain someone that's different than you, and that's really what it's all about. And I think that's how we bridge that gap with diversity, equity, and inclusion. Is try that. And finally, campus community engagement. Get out, get with the community, connect, and moving forward. So how can you help? I want to remind you, thank you for reminding me. So we do have the State Farm Challenge. You can go on the website, I think it's out there, and you can vote for RCTC. Our Hive Supply is there, which could win us $25,000 to feed our food insecure students. And as you can see, we try to help in our foundation a couple areas. Student mental health is huge right now, as many of you know. Student food insecurity is huge, which is why the State Farm Challenge, you can vote 10 times, up to 10 times, go on, vote for the Hive Supply. We should be your number one choice. You know, just me being here should make you think, yes, they should be our number one choice. Our academic equipment fund, as you know, things change, things get outdated. You've always got to update your academic equipment. Student scholarships, we're proud to say this year we are actually awarding more full ride scholarships in the history of our college. So again, Kristen Mannix and our foundation people have done a great job with that. And then directed funds. If you know, again, people that leave funds from a family trust. And so our foundation can use these. We use all these funds to help students. It's helped to get students across the stage. And everyone doesn't have, and even my own kids, they don't understand. Everyone doesn't have the resource that even you guys have had your whole lives. It's just not. When I used to go to sports banquets with my kids, and I'd see a kid there without any parents there, it would just break my heart because I felt like I work hard to, make sure our families together and to support our kids, but everyone doesn't have that. So anything you can think of, if you're led in your heart to ever donate to the foundation with United Way is a worthy cause too, but secondary to the RCTC needs. But I'll let you be second. That's fine with me. So thank you. If you have any questions, I guess I'm here to answer any questions. I will try to answer your questions. Any? Yes, sir. Yeah, so most of them come from Rochester, and then you have the outlying communities, Stewartville, Byron, tell me some other small towns around. Yeah. All those names, I have to read my report. But yeah, so most of them, again, are Rochester students from the major high school feeders, but then Byron gets quite a bit, Stewartville, I'm trying to think, St. Charles, we get some from there as well. So yeah, we get, but mainly Rochester. Yes. Well, all the studies show we have less high school graduates, so that's part of always been a big feeder. And then with the employment market being so good, I still say that a lot of folks are, again, like my son. You see a short-term value. Oh, I'm making good money right now, but I go, what happens when, like for example, he was doing marketing for a window tinting company this summer. Oh, it's going great, Dad. I go, son, but once it gets winter, the window tinting business is going to go down. And so what happens? He gets laid off. Well, then he finds something else. And so we're working on him every day. Like, but you need to think long term. Get a degree, even if it's associate, get something in management and marketing to help make yourself more marketable. So I think a lot of people, when you're getting 25, 30 bucks an hour from employers and it's immediate. It's like you're making good money now. So I think, whether that's our message, but I just think people in society education is just not, I say has the value or long-term value that it used to have. And I think that's something we have to do. Again, that's why I push community colleges. I think it's going to help you find your niche and get on there. And again, it's just, I think so it has to do with I think the economy and I think the working, and I just don't know where the minds are, but I think less kids as well. That's what they say. That's correct. Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I have people that are involved in the can process. Yes. Hmm. 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 No, thank you for that. No, it is great because again, you think about from cradle to career. So we're at that end of trying to get people to really think about careers through pathways, as we talked about through our partnership with P-Tech and Mayo Clinic and IBM. Is just a good model. Catch them early. What do you want to do, son? You know, this is how you do it, or daughter. How do you get there? So I think that's very important. Thank you for that plug. Yeah, yeah. Oh, Zoom people couldn't hear your question. Repeat. Oh, her question. You think I can remember her two-part question? PSEO, I don't have percentage, but I think we were at one our height. We had about 800 and so students last year. So we have increased in our PSEO, but I don't have a percentage for you. And the second question was what programs fill with fill rates? Well, obviously nursing fills rates. And again, very proud that most of our nursing students end up at Mayo. And so we fully the nursing, and I would say the jobs are there for criminal justice, but it's just a matter whether they pass the background. The police chief will say, "I'll hire every one of your graduates because there's that many openings in the police field." But it's just a matter whether they get to the background checks and those things. So yeah, and then our health profession fields, I think the nursing, I think all the radiography, all those programs are fill rates right away once you get through them. There's jobs waiting for you at the other end. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were already doing it, but again, oh yeah. Prior to this pandemic, were we already doing online learning? Yes, we were already doing online learning during the pandemic, but we had doing obviously there was a time where we were almost probably 90 some percent, besides like the automotive, the nursing places that had to be in clinicals and so forth. So we did have a switch to about almost 90% online. And now the percentage I shared, but now we're back to like a 45%, which pre-pandemic, I think it was still about 50, 53, 55% would have been fully face to face, and then the online would have been breaking down probably like 30 some percent online before that. Mhm. Yeah, I have any comment on the student debt um, and the legislation? I'm getting double duty here. I mean, um, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different opinions, but let me just from a personal standpoint, as I said, as an adult that had to see himself through all these things as a working adult, I've been paying my school loans for 10 years. Well, I just put in myself for a public service loan forgiveness, which means because I've had 10 years of public service and I paid my bills for 10 years that now I'm waiting, the Department of Education is very slow. I check my email every day because tell me, I would love to get $50,000 in debt. I think I've done I've been diligent in paying. And I guess I don't know if I could have done it any other way. I could have like broke the bank, not sent my kids to school, So I said, I don't think I'm like begging for handouts, if you will. I think I've put the work in. And so I think if you can help students that are in need and then, because the many people it's a big burden. Fortunately, I always tell my people, well, it's like a car payment. I'm able to pay my car payment, but this car payment doesn't stop until you're paid up. So I do think you know, when you have a surplus like that, I mean, I guess what would it hurt? So I am a proponent for it because I think it will help families. I think will help individuals so that you can buy homes and do more to help the economy when you're not paying that $1,000 a month in school loan repayment. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Oh, okay. Never mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I'm going to put this back on. Thank you so much. As a thank you for your presentation, a gift will be given to the Diversity Council. Okay, as we close out today, I want to give thanks to all who assisted. Vicki Allen and Terry Sorensen for being our greeters, George Allen for leading us in the four-way test, Ashok Patel, who provided the reflection, Jennifer Teskey for providing a member spotlight, and Mark Drips, our Sergeant at Arms, for helping us run things. And a big thank you to our speaker. Thank you all. Serve to change lives. We are adjourned.